Hey guys, it's Scarra here, and this is my first vlog. So pretty much I'm gonna go over some pretty basic things, uh, very easy and simple. Keeping it very easy and simple for the first vlog. So let's talk about two things. We'll talk about our practice regimen because I get a lot of questions about that, and we'll talk about Super Week because I think that's pretty much in the status quo, and I feel like that's probably the two best topics to talk about. So, in terms of practice regimen, a lot of people have always asked me, like, what is a day like in our lives? And so, what happens is typically I wake up around 11, 10, whatever. Uh, Typically around 11 now, because I've been sleeping a little bit later than usual. And Kiwi also wakes up at 11. Cutie wakes up around 8 and streams early. And Crumbs wakes up around 11 as well. And we're all downstairs by that time. We go do our own thing. Pretty much everyone solo queues for a little bit. Me and Kiwi sometimes go to the gym. And then we're usually ready and prepped by 2 p.m. We have at least one solo queue game under our belt, just for mechanic practice. And we go to the 2 o'clock scrim session. We have two scrim slots, 2 to 6 and 8 to 10. So 2 to 6 is typically one or two teams, mainly two teams for now. And after our 2 to 6 scrim slot, what happens is we decide to do replay analysis from around 6 to 7. We take about an hour break from 7 to 8, grab dinner, all that stuff. And then from 8 to 10, we have another scrim schedule. And then after 8 to 10, we do another replay analysis that goes all the way up to 11. And that pretty much wraps up like a day for us. That happens 6 days a week. We have one break day on Saturday, and for everything else, it's just very like that. That's it. That's our normal schedule. After the 11 o'clock stuff, people can just do what they want. But typically, what happens is everyone just ends up solo queuing anyways, because it's just the best way to get practices once our scrims are over and we can't really do anything else, we just go into solo queue to like play new champions, like just brush up mechanically, or just learn new champs, stuff like that. Recently though, we could just use this time for anything. So recently we've been drafting a lot of Magic after 11. So while we still have a full scrim schedule that we work with, we have a couple like 2 or 3 hours after the end of the day to draft, and we'd use that period to just like bond as a team and cool down from spamming so many games. It helps with burnout, helps with just calming ourselves. It's really fun, and we all enjoy. 3 of the 5 people on our team enjoy Magic. Me, Kiwi, and Keely pretty much all like really, really, really enjoy playing Magic. Um, that's pretty much our practice regimen. Let's talk about going to Super Week. So Super Week, pretty much what we're looking to do is we're playing against 5 teams. Obviously, we play against Curse, Vulcan, C9, Velocity, and CLG in that order. So Wednesday we have Curse and Vulcan. Our schedule this week is pretty rough. Like our record against this team, I think, or these collective 5 teams are somewhere around like 5 to 12, or something pretty negative. But I feel like my team has gotten a lot better since the start of the summer split, and we're doing pretty well in scrims right now. Like actually, really well. Before we used to be able to be required to review every single scrim, in terms of replay analysis, and we just burn so much time doing that. But now it's like we can do replay analysis on very key moments, and it's not just like, oh wow, we messed up like on every situation going up to the 10-minute mark. Now it's just like, well, let's look at these key situations and then where you should move, what you should do in this situation, and typically we can solve it a lot faster. Our team fight has got pretty good. We have a pretty decent idea of how we're going to play out the game, and our level ones have gotten really, really good as well. But onto the teams, like that's kind of important, but not as like our strength is kind of important, but not as important as who we're playing against. So, like I said before, the first two games are against Curse and Vulcan, and Curse and Vulcan, I I always I actually don't mind playing against either of those teams. For some reason, I think we have a losing record against Curse. I think we're 1-2 against Curse, and 0-3 against Vulcan, or 1-2 against Vulcan. I'm not quite sure. Vulcan always seems to get the better of us for most part, and they're a really good team. Like they're definitely a top 3 team in North America when they're on their game. And I feel like that's probably going to be one of the harder days for us, because we honestly do really well against C9. Whenever we play C9, it's like someone makes a mistake, and then the last C9 game, for instance, it's like we crushed them. We crushed their bot lane 2v2 with the jungler and Kiwi, but then like I fed miserably. Like I played the worst game of my life. So on Thursday, I don't think that day is necessarily too hard for us. Like we're very comfortable going against C9, and even though they're the top team right now, they're not the team that we we're not like nervous to playing them. Like I would be fine if we're forced to play C9 like first game, or if it was if it was a possibility first game in playoffs, because that's just like that's it's fine for us, to be honest. And it's fine for me because although I consider C9 to be by far the best and most consistent team in North America, it just feels very comfortable when we play them or play against them. Sorry. And on Friday we have Velocity and CLG, two teams that we're 3-0 against Velocity so far, but really we haven't played against Velocity with their new lineup, and so maybe that might actually make a big difference, especially because Velocity has nothing to lose here. Like, if they're gonna bust out weird ass stuff, it'll happen this week, and I really expect to see Velocity pull out stuff like Jungle Master Yi, uh, like a Nivea middle, like all these picks that like no one else runs, because since there's nothing on the line, the best they can do is just like try to surprise people with gimmicky strats, and honestly, that's the best thing they can do. Yeah, so we have to be really careful going into them. I'm glad we're playing the Blast, so we get 2 days to scout to see what they're playing. And CLG's always been a team that I'm just like, if their transitions are really good, but if their early game wasn't so god awful, they might actually win games. Like they're really really strong at team fighting and like the late game, but their early game and the way their early game is just like horrendous. Like they're by far the worst early game team in LCS. Well, yeah, actually, I think in LCS they're by far the worst early game team. Even considering like the lower tier teams, like what do we have? We have Velocity, we have uh, Curse. Like all of those teams perform better in lane, I feel, than CLG. And that's really, really bad for them because especially playing against us, we're a team that's known to have probably one of the best early games, if not the best early game. So they're a matchup that we actually like playing against a lot because that's just I feel really comfortable playing against them, even though our record right now is currently 1-2. While I can't remember any of those games off the top of my head, I have a feeling it was just one of them was like the 75-minute game or like the 65-minute game. Oh, that was horrible. Like, yeah, we've had some interesting situations, and since um, like just take my word for it. I think CLG is a team that's decent. They're like pretty good, but against us, they're probably the worst matchup. It's probably the worst matchup possible for them. So pretty much, yeah, that's about it in terms of what I wanted to go through for this vlog. Uh, yeah, there's nothing really else to say. Hopefully, I'll be doing more of these along the week, because if I don't, I'm pretty sure Odie will kill me. So have a nice day, guys, and peace.